Ke a leboga dumelang ba bagolo le ba bannye. Dumelang lotlhe. Pina e bua nnete gore leeto le re leng mo lona le batla batho ba dipedi tse di thata because it's not easy. It's not the easy way. So you'll be misunderstood, you'll be ridiculed and everything. So you have to stay on your path. So I battle the chances. Ne? Okay. I wanted to do a tribute to Batswana Kings because they are overlooked. They are seriously overlooked. So being nepted and Kgosi from the kingdom of Neptet, being the season ya Kgosi, we deemed it appropriately for let's because nobody's going to do it. Yeah. So the season of Neptet is about nurturing, protecting, and reviving Kgosi, the royal house. And then this principle of Neptet promotes and supports divine missions of individuals. A divine mission is a mission that nobody else can go on because it was given to you by the Creator. That's why there's always this cliche that you have to find your purpose. So Neptet nurtures that. Or if you are granted that divine mission, this is the time to nurture it. It's a very sacred time. Although it is said Neptet is a bit morbid, but also support a prelude before we do the tribute. If you will recall the memorial lecture of the Contra Lesser founder Kgosi Mhlaba Mzima Maphumulo on the 22nd of September 2023, the Secretary General of ANC, Fikile Mbalula, was the main speaker there. He delivered the lecture. And out of all the other things he said, this is the one that stood out a lot. I quote, "Political leaders are liars and thieves. Don't be used and misled by political leaders because they are dishonest. You are not elected in conference, so stand for the truth." At close quote. So it says a lot. Gore nako ya dipolitiki re di bone di dilivile eng. Nako ya dipolitiki ga itlhole e le teng. Although people are pushing hard, political parties are being formed every day. I think we have more than 200 now. Political parties, but the electorate, the voters' roll is not growing. So I don't know how they're going to do that. But I'm sure it's going to be possible because the ruling party will lose votes again. So, but little, So that's the prelude. But if you can notice, the Secretary General, he's busy. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
He's busy.
Yes.
And they're trying to shut him up. I don't know. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Okay, check the news and see what he's been saying. This is old. This is from September last year. But in this week, he said something.
Yeah, he said that kind of thing. It's not a swimming pool. It's a water. Yes.
And what else?
He said a lot of things.
He's exposing the lies, and now they are trying to shut him up. So I don't know if he'll be able to shut up because now nnete e ntse yalo. So as I talked about, as I mentioned, the Kgosi tsa Batswana are very much overlooked in terms of their contribution to the struggle. A lot of the Kgosi are unsung heroes, the Kgosi kgadi tsa bone, unsung heroines. But we have picked Lintate just a few because we went through a list. Re batlisisa man gore man, Richolor Midwembe. Yo, left, right, center. But these three stand out, and we would like to pay tribute to them. The first one is Kgosi Luka, Mpoluke Njanki, ke ba ga Mothibi, Swanisa Mothibi. But this thing ya gore bana ba latela leina la rre. A go tsewe sefane, I don't know how that works. So Kgosi ya batlhaping ba ko Manyeding. If you will remember gore ke ile ka bua gore Batswana ke di branches tse dintsi. So batlhaping ke ba mostly in the Northern Cape. Botaung, Kimberley, all those areas. That's where they are. And then he's the eldest son of Kgosi Janki Mothibi and was born in Kimberley in 1835. And he's also the cousin of Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, who is the Kgosi Yaba Batlhaping, Kgosi Kgolo ya Batlhaping. A ke ra go na le Kgosi Kgolo, go na le ba ba tsenang ka fa tlase ga gagwe. In the Kgosi ya ko Manyeding, go na le Kgosi ya Phudumo, go na le Kgosi ya Batlhaping ya Phudumo, go na le Kgosi ya Bomolefe and all that. So Kgosi Luka Polokeng, Professor Shillington, who has taken a keen interest in his contributions, he's a forgotten struggle hero, Kgosi Luka. Now, if you remember, Northern Cape, it's endowed with diamonds. The Fatileo, Iladi diamond, and when diamonds were discovered in Kimberley in 1871, Kgosi Yanki's ancestral land was stolen from them by the British colonialists who prospected for diamonds. So by the they took the land and because they checked for diamonds and they found that the area is rich with diamonds. Baba sutisetsa ko diplekeng tse ding tse dinyanenyana baba movela ko and ba amoga ba golo lefatshe fela jalo. Now, as you know, the Christian wave swept high, so a lot of our kings and queens were raised under the Christian way again. Now, because he was raised in the Christian way, he used peaceful means of resistance by organizing boycotts of trading stores. He was very vocal and outspoken against the land invasion. But in the end, the colonialists labeled him the wild fellow who hates the English, in quotes. They resolved to teach him a lesson. So as Batswana groups were being moved to smaller and smaller areas, Janki, together with his cousin, they took up arms in response. Because if you speak non-violence, if you are peaceful, these people, they came from the sea, they came as peaceful men, and then they came and took, okay? And they pushed us back. They pushed us from the prosperous areas. Now, on top of that, Batswana were forced to pay hut taxes. You know, when you have a house or a hut, you were forced to pay that. You were forced to work on the farms that they've taken from you. And they were forced to go and work at the Kimberley mine, where the diamond was being mined. La Hopola Kalinen mine, the biggest diamond, where is it? Ikai. Eco Britain. It's in the crown. Hey. So together with Kgosi Kgalishiwe, on kere ke Kgosi Kgolo ya Batlhaping, Kgosi Luka ene ne le Kgosi ya Batlhaping ba Manyeding. Yene le Kgosi Kgalishiwe le Kgosi Makgolokwe Toto ba Batlharo or Batlharwe le Barolong. They participated in the Pokani Rebellion, meaning that they fought the British at the Comfort Hill in Kimberley. Okay? And they were successful, but Banbasina, they didn't have a lot. Okay? And then Luka, together happily, the other cohorts, the Kgosi Tsedingi, Kgalishiwe, who was his cousin, Kgosi Toto, who was Kgosi ya Batlharo, le ba bangwe ba ditlhophanyana tse dinnyane. They also fought again at the Langeberg Rebellion, and they won again. And the war continued for 8 months, but this is never covered. It's things that are hidden in history, but Batswana le bone ba ile ba itshwarela ba lwana, and they fought and they gave the British a run for their money. The British had to get reinforcements from Britain to come and fight again. Okay? So when they got their reinforcements, these British, remember I said it took the longest of time, 8 months. And at some point, the guns, they didn't misfire. Remember I said the British went to get reinforcements because they were conquered again. So, mon ba iphitlhile teng mo di-fortressing tseo tsa ko Langeberg, ko Oliphant's Hook, and they shot him, Kgosi Luka, because his gun misfired. Remember, Balen banali fresh arms, Ronan Resina a lot. So they were using ammunition that was old, that was not enough. So he was shot in the head when the gun misfired. Baba surrounded at Langeberg mountains, and he was shot by Temple Smith in the head when his firearm jammed. That was in 1897. Now, while he was dying, I get so angry. While he was dying, they posed for photographs. That fellow who hates the British will teach him a lesson. Now they were teaching him a lesson by parading and making photographs with him. But the bigger one was that one of the senior officials of the British military then paid a colleague £5 for cook it in the dining hall, in the mess hall, the mess hall. The dining room is a mess hall. James Samuel Searle, who was the higher official, paid £5 to a colleague to do the evil deed of cutting the head and cooking it and taking it as a trophy. So the sacrifices that have been made are huge, and we don't know about them, or we tend to believe stories. We have to dig this information. You have to dig for it. Professor Schilling says his life ended in a dramatic and heroic last stand on the ancestral sanctuary of the Lanningerberg, Olifantshoek. Professor Schilling also mentions that he was not, meaning Kgosi Luka, he was not a natural hero who flaunted heroic deeds, nor did he indulge in rhetoric. He was a doer. Mkulu always talks about doing instead of exactly. He is one of the greatest heroes of the Northern Cape. And so it stops today. Now, his death resulted in the collapse of the Batswana resistance movement. Batswana are disorganized, if you have noticed. Okay? Now we come to Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, the main Kgosi Kgolo ya Batlhaping in the Kimberley. He was also born in 1835 in Liditak, the Kgosi Luka. He led a rebellion against the Cape Colony together with Luka at Conforth Hill. He was the leader now. And it was the resistance to repressive and oppressive laws. The people come from the sea, they come and say they are peaceful, and they come and point guns at you when they see what you have. Okay? So, after taking, they oppress you and repress you. Now, Kgosi Kgaleshiwe was also interested in the, fighting for the economic participation of his people. If you remember, cattle, cattle was a currency. So what they were doing now, my British are, they were killing the cattle of Batswana, claiming for the cattle have strayed or and the reason why they shoot them and kill them is that these cattle only the rinderpest epidemic disease. So they don't want their livestock to be contaminated. So they shot at the Kgomo tsa batho ba rona. Remember, they've taken the majority of the land. Our people are farming. How can the Kgomo di ska di atswa? Di tla tswa ke. Di batla go fula. Di batla go ja. And they will go where there is grass. Yeah. So these people, they shot at the animals because baredinal disease, rinderpest. Okay? So this means that they were weakening the strength of Batu because this is what their livelihood. Now, they babona gore no man re court, let's sue Batubana for killing our livestock. We are 17, but it can't be 17. It should be more than that. And information, when you research, a lot of it is not true. So you have to discern and see what you can discard, what you can take. So when they sought compensation through the courts, they lost the case. No, disease di go bolaya di livestock ya batho ba makgowa. So Batswana ba bo Kgosi Kgaleshiwe le bo Luka, they retaliated by refusing access for the police to go into their places, because the police now ban ba batla go tsena and check the rinderpest epidemic how it has spread, which I don't think is true. And I applaud them for refusing them access. And balwa, ba tsena gape mo balwa, ba ntse ba lwantshana ba lwantshana le maburu ao in July 1878. Now, Kgosi Kgaleshiwe was captured in August 1878, and he was sentenced to 12 years in prison. He served his sentence with dignity. He served his sentence. Upon his release, a simolla gape a ba bokanya botlhe a re tlayang a re yeng a re lweng. And then antse ke le bolela yana gore ban ba tlhakane ba dira e le sopo se le sengwe ba lwa wa utlwa. Now, as I said, this fight was for 8 months, and they defeated the British. And as the British brought in reinforcements because they could afford it, Kgosi Kgaleshiwe was captured again and sentenced to 10 years. Just for golwela batho ba gago, their livelihood, their dignity. But he escaped and sought refuge at Kgosi Toto's kingdom, Makgolokwe, kwa Kubukuruma, Kobatlharo. So, bana ba dirisana ba bereka ba le botlhe. Now, as they were fighting, because the British were reinforcing, there was a point where they couldn't match the British. So, Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, remember I said, Luka, they shot him. They taught him a lesson. They shot him in the head and cooked his head. Kgosi Kgaleshiwe le Kgosi Toto, Makgolokwe, le firstborn ya Kgosi Toto, o e leng ke mang moshimanyana o ke lebetse leina la gagwe, Robanye. They were all arrested and taken to Robben Island and sentenced to 10 years. Okay? Kgosi Toto never left Robben Island. He died there. Why? Because he was giving refuge to Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, the Kgosi Luka. So he paid dearly. His son was released. Le Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, I think it was old age here for Kgosi Kgaleshiwe. Kgosi Kgaleshiwe died in Makgokgong in 1924. And as bo Kgosi Kgaleshiwe ba tlhokafetse, as Kgosi Luka a tlhokafetse ka 1898, all the farms, the Batlaping land and farms were taken. There was nothing left. They took everything. Both Babatsala, everything. So that was the end of the resistance ya Batswana as we know it. So Kgosi Makgolokwe Toto, as I said, kwa Batlharo, and he's seen as a freedom warrior. He was the hero of the Langebank rebellion. So ona le matla le botlhale bo ba tlhakantse tiro ya bona. So ngwana gagwe Robanyane, as I said, le Kgaleshiwe le ene, they were on Robben Island, and now honoring them. They fought for their people. How no cause, you must fight for your people. You must tlhokomele batho ba gago. It's not about you as Kgosi. Yes. They fought for their people, they fought for their land, they fought for mineral resources. They defeated the white man, the British powerful military of the British twice. Okay? So they had to bring in reinforcements so that they can pin them down, which they were successful in doing in the end. But the most important thing for honoring them is they fought united. Mkhulu always talks about black people being united. Kgosi tse, di kopane, di tshwaragane. They fought united for royal rule, for protection of culture, for protection of rights and property, and the dignity of the black person. Now, in terms of accolades, I don't like that word, but for Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, he was granted the Order of Mendi for bravery in gold. Okay? The biggest township in Kimberley is named after him, Kgaleshiwe. That's where I grew up. Okay? The South African Navy has named one of its ships after him. That's Kgosi Kgaleshiwe. Now, Kgosi Luka, the hero who was beheaded and stopped in his tracks by the whites, they taught him a lesson again. His head has to be found and brought back so that he can be put to rest with other great leaders. Wouldn't it be nice for a Ailo Robala how feeling that they credo where he belongs? I see with and so many others. There's a lecture room at Solplaatje University named after him, but he has done more than we can know. So naming a lecture room after him at the university, for me, it's not enough. Okay, it's a start, but his head needs to be found. And then Kgosi Toto, o tlhokafaletse ko Robben Island. Nothing has been said about him. His bones need to be found and buried alongside other heroes. This is the age of Ma'at. It's time for restoration and justice. Our government must do much more than whatever they are doing. They need to honor people who fought the great fight. Lerona, as we are here, we need to honor those people and remember their contribution. And if you find yourself unto slacker or lebala, remember that they paid the big price on your behalf. So, Neptet, inako ya Kgosi, re tsoseletsa Kgosi, we deemed it proper gore re ba tsoseletse maina bone age Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, age Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, age Kgosi Kgaleshiwe, age Kgosi Luka Janki, age Kgosi Luka Janki, age Kgosi Luka Janki, age Kgosi Makgoloka Toto, age Kgosi Makgoloka Toto, age Kgosi Toto. Ra itse gore le teng le re lebile se ba le dirileng sone mo mmeleng is fine. Fela mewa ya lona e teng le re tlhokometse. Re a leboga bagolo ke malebo.